Okay, so today we're going to compare and contrast two very different shopping locations and experiences. So we're heading on into Shirley High Street. Now Shirley is on the outskirts of Southampton, and this area has a bit of a local reputation for being a bit grotty, run down. It's not widely respected by the people perhaps in other parts of the city. But anyway, let's have a look and see what we can actually find here. So what we actually find here is a tremendous diversity of tiny little shops. So we're going to have a wander along and see what we can find. But we've got some lovely old pubs there. We've got all kinds of interesting little shops that there is only one of. Just up ahead here we've got Plested's Pie Shop. Now I haven't been here for many years, but this always used to be the best pie shop in the region. Okay, those look like some fine pies in there actually. I think I might go and get myself one. A very aptly named pub over there. It is so cold today. I think we might have a look in here. So there's a little park here, St James Park. I think I'll sit in here, find a park bench, sit in here and eat my pie. It is snowing, so I don't suppose I'm going to settle for very long, but let's find a little park bench and eat my pie, which is cooled down now. So this is the first time I've had a Plested's pie in several years probably, so let's have a look and see what we got. Well, I haven't got the tripod, so but there we go. Look, lovely meat pie. Filling is oozing out. I think what I'll do, I'm going to eat some of this and then I'll show you what it looks like inside. That is a mighty fine pie, and every bit as good as I remember. It's got short crust pastry, that's important for pies, and it's full of juicy, delicious minced steak and gravy. Very good. So, not a disappointment. Plested's pie is as good as it ever was. So there we go, that was Shirley, and my nose is red because it's bitterly cold out there. It's actually snowing a little bit, but that was lots of fun. It's a really vibrant, diverse, interesting place with some quirky little one-off shops that you won't find anywhere else, and it's got a real sense of community and togetherness, I suppose. All those little shops are just doing their thing. So that was great. I got a few things from the Baltic supermarket, and I got a couple of bits and pieces from the vegetable shop as well. Didn't really buy very much today, but it was fun to walk along there. Got myself a nice pie, that was good. I do like pie. So anyway, let's have a look at the other place now. Okay, we've got a yellow snow warning, and the snow has prevented me from getting back to the second shopping location in the same day, so we're going to have to wait until probably next weekend, I think. So we're now approaching the second of our shopping locations for this video, and this is what people call a shopping destination. That is, although I think people do live here, this is a place that people actually travel quite a distance to come shopping to. So this will be interesting, won't it? Let's see what all the fuss is about. So if you haven't already guessed, this is Whiteley Village. So this is Whiteley Shopping Village, which is a collection of high street shops in the middle of nowhere. And so despite being called a village, it's really more like a canyon. It's a chasm of glass and steel and retail despair. And there isn't anything here that you won't find somewhere on a high street, and it's all just collected into one place. And so we can wander down here, but I don't think we're really going to find anything that I need. There are just the regular high street shops presented in a windswept, sterile glass and concrete trench. So I don't really know what it is about this place, but the only reason I can think of for coming here is so that you can leave. Now don't get me wrong, there are some interesting little shops here, like Tiger, which is a fantastically quirky little Danish novelty and homeware store. But I think it's just, I don't know, the bland corporate uniformity of this place. And all of the shops here are really something you could get somewhere else. It's almost like every time I come here, I can feel my sense of hope and optimism slipping away. I mean, and for that reason, I don't come here. I came here just so I could film it and tell you guys about it. And of course, I've been quite negative. There is a cinema here and lots of different interesting restaurants, although they are all chain restaurants. But again, what would be the point of driving to a place that has lots of restaurants? You're going to drive to a restaurant, aren't you? So there we go, we're leaving Whiteley Village now, and we bought some groceries and that was it at the Tesco store, and the rest of it is just, I don't know, there's nothing really there that we can't get somewhere else in a more interesting location. And I was looking around at people's faces while we were here actually, because I think you can really tell the character of a place by looking at people's faces as you're walking around. There are a bit of people watching, and very few of the people here were smiling. Very, very few of the people were actually looking like they're enjoying themselves. It was almost like this is a chore. Visiting this place and disposing of your disposable income is has almost become a burden to people. And so I don't know, you might have guessed by now I haven't got a very high opinion of Whiteley Village as a retail location, and please understand that's just my opinion about this matter. You are free to disagree, and you're not wrong if you do disagree. If you like places like this, then more power to you. But for me, this is, as I say, walk around that place, I just feel hope and optimism slipping away from me. So it's to me, it's just a place that is a collection of ordinary things arranged together in a way that's attempting to be interesting and artful, but is not succeeding. So there you go. I'm sorry to end that video on a negative note. I guess what we ought to say is that try out some of the funny, quirky little high street places where all the shops are different. That's my advice, and that's what I prefer to do. So after that rather depressing shopping trip this morning, let's turn our attention and turn our minds to something a little bit more positive. So we're out here for a walk. Down there is the water meadow, still too wet and boggy for us to visit. I might put on my big wellies sometime and actually take a trip through there. But we're just wandering through the trees here, and we've got a lovely cherry tree here in full blossom. In fact, there are several of them. There's one down there, you can see the blossom in there. I'm going to get a bit further back from this tree so that we can appreciate the blossom a bit more. You can't really see it very well against the sky there, but if I come right back here, we can see there's a cherry tree there in full blossom. Now it's worth noting where these things are in the springtime, because later on, sort of in the summertime, we'll find wild cherries down here. I don't know that I'm going to try walking across this bit here though. This is still a bit of a mire here. So we're back at the sloe bush we've looked at several times over the last few weeks, and I thought I was going to have to tell you that we had a little bit longer to wait for these buds to open. These are the blossom buds for the sloes, and they are almost bursting right now. Look at that, how close those are to bursting open. And I thought we were going to have to tell you that we had another week to wait, but actually here we are. Up here we've got some blossom that's actually open. So there we go, that's sloe blossom. So in another few days this entire bush will be snowily clad with sloe blossom, and that's the thing to look out for if you're doing your sloe gin, or if you want to do your sloe gin. Look out for the sloe blossom. There's some more up there, which might not be all that easy to see against the sky, but we can see some open blossoms there. Let me zoom right in, there we go. And that's the thing to look out for as you're walking around, because if you want to make sloe gin, just make a mental note of where you see the sloe bushes flowering at this time of year, and then go back there in September, October to pick your sloes. Now while we're wandering through here, I thought I'd tell you about something that's about to happen on Atomic Shrimp. So this video you're watching now is my 398th upload. So in a couple of days time we're going to go to 400 videos on Atomic Shrimp. Now if that's news to you, then please do subscribe, check out my playlists and my back catalogue of videos. If you didn't realise I had 400 videos, well, why don't you go and have a look, there might be something interesting. So what we're going to do to mark the occasion of my 400th upload is we're going to do a whole week of weird stuff in a can. It's called the Week of Weird, and I will be uploading a video every day for 7 days of some kind of weird stuff in a can. So the wild garlic here, this is Ramson's wild garlic, is really coming up quite strong now. And this is probably about the best time to pick it. It's really nice and fresh and lush, and the flowers aren't up yet. In fact, I can't even really see any flower buds formed. So this is the best time to pick wild garlic, while the leaves are still young and fresh and still undamaged. But it'll go on for probably a month in a pickable state while the flowers open and everything else grows up around it. I'm just going to stand here for a bit actually. There's a little meander in the river here where you can see what's happening over there. Actually the river, where it's curving round, is undercutting the bank. Eva, you don't need to rescue the stones. Honestly, it's fine. No, it's fine. And what will happen? The river will cut further and further over there until it breaks off. And we looked last week at a little oxbow lake, or an oxbow pond in fact, that this river has created. So the river will tend to meander further and further and become more and more curved until eventually the curve is too sharp to sustain, and all the sediment then gets dumped in that corner, and that part of the river gets cut off, and it creates a little indentation or a remnant of a meander, which is called an oxbow lake, or just an oxbow. But that process is happening over there right now. Actually, forget about the science. It's actually quite nice to just stand here and listen to the water chuckling. What are you doing? What are you doing? Should we go? Come on then. Do you want the ball? Just wandering back up through the park, and I noticed this old oak tree here, absolutely encrusted with lichens. Now lichens are quite remarkable organisms. It's a hybrid, a kind of graft hybrid. It's a mixture of like a fungus and an algae, and sometimes a bacteria mediating the relationship as well. There are several different species of lichens encrusting this oak tree. And when you get up really close, there's some real beauty in the detail. You know, it's easy to just imagine that these things are just blobs of green stuff, but actually when we look here, there's some real intricacy and detail in the way these lichens are formed. So let's have a little bit of love for lichens, shall we? So quite close to where I live, there's a very small patch of woodland. And my kids used to play in here when they were small, but they used to call this the spooky woods. So let's see if we can have a look and see what was actually going on in here. My kids used to tell me that somewhere up in the top of these woods, up over there are graves. Now I don't know if that's true, if they just found some paving stones or something like that, maybe put 2 and 2 together and made 5. It's possible. So, however, this little bit of woodland here was once part of the large garden of a country house. There was over here there was the rectory where the rector lived, and this is the remnants of that garden. And you can tell because there are some specimen trees in here. There's a big redwood here. Well, not big by redwood standards, but it's a big old tree, and it's obviously planted here because that's not native to this country. And there are other specimen trees here as well. I believe that, well, actually this one's dead now, but I think that was a pear tree. And there are some others in here. Up in the corner there was a fig tree, because I've taken cuttings from that before. And there's not really very much of this woodland left now. Here we've got some periwinkle, which is obviously a garden plant. And somewhere up over in that corner, apparently, there are graves. Let's go have a look. So obviously that's quite an old wall here, and there's been a whole lot of rubbish and stuff dumped over the fence here from the adjacent properties. So this is a very old wall. Somebody's made a hole through there for a cat or something maybe. And then that's just chunks of wood and bits of old carpet. Well, I can't see anything here. Let's have a look over this way. It's quite an old brick there. Well, I'm not seeing anything that suggests or indicates that there were graves here. It's possible because old houses sometimes did have a family plot on their grounds, but I'm not seeing anything here that suggests or supports that notion. This is quite an old wall here though. This is obviously part of the old garden wall here, but I don't know. It could be that they are here and they're just covered up under the forest leaf litter and the soil and all these bits of twigs and trees and so on. It's possible, but I think a more likely explanation is that my children have active and fertile imagination. At least that's a nice thing to conclude, I guess, anyway, isn't it? So there we go. We didn't find anything spooky in the spooky woods. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.